to another episode of the Barbells with Banter podcast. I'm your host, Callum Sully, and with me today, I've got a very incredible guest with a big story of his own and how he's transformed that experience into the business he has now and how he helps thousands of people since that. I think this is going to be very beneficial to listen to you guys. So my guest, Alan Lazaros, hopefully I pronounced that right, Alan. I usually don't get it wrong, but hopefully I did.
You broke up a little bit during the pronunciation, so I don't know if you did, but hey, if you didn't, that's okay. The world does not revolve around my last name.
Okay. I said Alan Lazaros.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I don't normally get that wrong. Basically, yeah, for you guys, if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right but still not happy, I think this particular episode is really going to hit. Basically, Alan, I'd like you to sort of take us back. Obviously, we're going to talk a bit about what happened, how that trauma has led to what you have now, and we're going to certainly talk about that. Mm-hmm. But let's go with, what did your life look before that situation, this accident that we're going to talk about? So what was the pre-trauma like for you?
Yeah, so the accident that you're referring to is when first of all, thank you for having me. I just want to start with gratitude. I appreciate it. Anyone listening, I also want to thank you as well. It's a noisy 21st century. You could be anywhere else in the world. The fact that you're listening to us, I don't take that lightly. Gratitude first.
Absolutely.
Thank you. As far as so I'm 37 now. I was born in 1988. You and I talked off air about Massachusetts. I was born and raised in Massachusetts. We joked that you're in the old England, I'm in the new England. Just joking. I hope no one takes offense.
It's called Barbells with Banter for a reason. That banter side. That's what that's about.
You know it. So, 1988, born in Massachusetts. Still in Massachusetts by choice. I do love it here. But born into a very challenging situation. 1991, I'm almost 3 years old. My birth father was John McCorkle. John was part of a big sort of Irish Catholic family. It was Jim, Joe, John, Jane, Joan, Jeanette.
Oh, wow.
6 J's, all 6 kids. And John, my dad, my birth father, at 28 years old when I was almost 3, my sister was almost 6, my mom was 31, they started a family, and tragically, suddenly, my birth father, John, died in a car, kind of out of nowhere. Yeah, not good. So tough start. I had a stepfather named Steve Lazaros from age 3 to 14, so 1992 to the early 2000s. And my mom and stepdad did not get along. That's a polite way to put it. I took his last name, I think, around age 7 or so. And then 14 was the hardest year of my life. So I did the traditional path in the U.S. So the quote-unquote American dream back then was, preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, corporate, that whole thing. I know you have a lot of working professionals listening. So that was, the dream back then for me, the quote-unquote American dream. And so my stepdad left at 14. I playfully refer to from age 3 to 14 as boats and BS, that part of my life. And the reason why is because it was the .com era.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In the US. My stepfather worked for a company called AGFA. They did hospital computers, digitizing everything during the .com era. And so we did very well. A lot of people did. The 90s were wild. Just wild economic boom times. Not everybody. But the economy grew in the 90s more than almost any time in human history. So, particularly in the US. So we enjoyed some of that. We had a yacht, we had Ducati motorcycles, snowmobiles, grew up on a lake. It seemed like back then everybody had money. It seemed that way. And I know that's not true, but as a kid, my mom and stepdad liked to party. They had a lot of friends that were very wealthy, and it seemed like a lot of abundance.
Yeah.
So when my stepdad left, he took 95% of the income with him. So I went from sort of boats and ski trips, Xbox, Dreamcast, early Christmas presents
Dreamcast, wow.
I don't know how, do you remember Dreamcast?
I do remember the Dreamcast, yeah.
Sega?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know it, man, yeah. The OG, right? They missed the LAN. They had dial-up internet. Yeah, they missed it. But anyways, so I'm 14. Stepdad leaves, takes his entire extended family with him. Never seen or spoken to a single one of them since. Talked to my stepdad a little bit on Facebook Messenger, but in person, never seen or spoken to any of them. Same year, my mom gets in a fight with my Aunt Sandy on her side of the family, her sister. We get ostracized from her side of the family. And I don't really associate much with the McCorkles anymore, my birth father's side, because we're trying to be the Lazaroses, not the McCorkles. So I kind of lost 3 families by the time I was 14. And not only that, but we went from sort of boats and ski trips type of thing, 90s, to I get free lunch at school now because our income is so low. I don't know how I'm going to go to college. My dream college is WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute. It's like a mini MIT in Massachusetts. You said you've been to Boston. It's Worcester. It's like an hour outside of Boston. And it's $50,000 a year. One of the best engineering colleges in the world, but it was $50,000 a year. And this is back then. So I go from I hope I get in to even if I do get in, I can't go. We don't have cable, we're not going to starve by any means, but we're definitely, pretty broke. My mom trades in her BMW for a little Honda Civic. How do we keep the house in the family? So I look into the future. It's like, okay, no dad, no trust fund, no generational wealth. We're in some trouble here. And I had 2 trauma responses to that. In hindsight, I didn't know this at the time. There's 4 trauma responses. There's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Fawn is appease. I think we all have to live in 2 worlds: social world, real world. The social world is the wedding photos. The real world is the marriage. The social world is your Instagram account. The real world is your bank account. And in high school, we all learn how to care about your reputation more than what you think of yourself, what others think of you more than, and that kind of thing. So my trauma response in the social world was fit in, fit in, fit in. Don't lose any more friends and family. Don't lose any more friends and family. Don't lose any more friends and family.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, when no one was around, it was fight. It was aim higher, work harder, get smarter. It was drive like you wouldn't believe. So I got straight A's through all of high school. I got what's called the President's Award signed by George W. Bush behind me. I got all the scholarships and financial aid that I could. I was the obnoxious kid at the award ceremony that just didn't sit down much. And I got to go to college. I got my computer engineering degree, master's in business, off to the races. Tech company, tech company, tech company, tech company, iRobots, Insada Technologies, Oz Development, all these different. Eventually landed at a company called Cognex. I go from broke to $65K a year, from 65 to 85, 85 to 105, 105 to 125, and then 125 to 180 is when I peaked in corporate. So I'm in my early 20s to mid 20s at this point. I have $500 for rent. I drive a 2004 Volkswagen Passat. I paid off $84,000 worth of college debt in a single year. I have $150,000 in the stock market, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to just keep building wealth. And that's when I got to the car accident that you were referring to. So if you want me to talk about that part, I can now.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So at this point, I had the quote unquote American dream.
Yeah.
That everyone seemed to want. I'm a computer engineer. I work for a very successful tech company. I've got investments in the stock market. I make ridiculous amounts of money for someone who doesn't have a mortgage, no kids, low expenses. And I grew up pretty broke after my stepdad left. So I thought that was going to be better than it was. And it was good and it is important, right? But it's definitely not fulfillment. And then I get in my car accident. So I'm 26. I'm up in New Hampshire with my little cousin, second cousin from my mom's side, one of the 2 people that has come back from my mom's side. I've only seen or spoken to 2 people from my mom's side since my mom got in that fight with my Aunt Sandy. And head-on collision with a lift-kitted pickup truck, 30 miles an hour, dark winter night in 2015. This is 11 years ago now. My fault. Fortunately, no one was killed because it was my fault. I used to call that car the Tank. German-engineered steel trap of a car. Thank you, Volkswagen. Totally saved my life. The lift-kitted pickup truck went up and over my car. Both cars totaled. This was not a fender bender. This was intense. But nobody was killed and there was no permanent damage. Thank goodness. But for me, so my little cousin Dan, second cousin, wasn't really that phased. He was still sort of 17, kind of invincible, not thinking much of it. But I'm sitting there messed up because while physically I'm not hurt, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, this is the second chance my dad never got. So at this point, I'm 26 years old. I had paid off 84 grand worth of college debt in a single year. I had $150,000 in a Vanguard account. My rent was $500 a month. I had a 2004 Volkswagen Passat that was only $5,000 cash. I refused to buy depreciating assets because after my stepdad left, I thought getting wealthy was the answer. So I learned how to build wealth, and I knew which tech companies to pick. No one knows for sure, but I built my first computer when I was 12, and I was a techie. I went to a Worcester Polytechnic Institute. I went to an engineering tech school. So I kind of understood the economy and where it was headed. So I did very well in the stock market. Plus I worked for an industrial automation company called Cognex. But then I got in my car accident. It's 2015. It's a dark winter night. The snowbanks are covering the yield sign. I'm supposed to yield and don't. It's my fault. I end up on the wrong side of the road. I cross the double yellows and I hit a lift-kitted pickup truck at about 30 miles an hour. This was not a fender bender. This was pretty intense. So the truck went up and on my car. Fortunately, I was driving that 2004 Volkswagen Passat. Thank you, Volkswagen. I used to call this car the tank. German engineered steel trap of a car, safest freaking car ever. Both airbags deployed. So yeah, so totally saved my life. But so my little cousin Dan, second cousin, he didn't think much of it. The guy in the lift-kitted pickup truck, it wasn't his truck, so he was pissed at me. My fault. But I was just stunned. I was sort of like, because this is the second chance my dad never got. I'm 26 at the time. My dad died in a car at 28. So this is my sort of quarter-life existential crisis. And the shift that happened in me that day, that mortality moment, a lot of us have, death of a loved one, death of a pet, illness.
It's a turning point.
Yeah, turning point. And for me, this was mine, where I just reflected a ton on my life after that and just was like, if that was the end, would I be proud of the man I became? Would I be proud of how I invested this one life? And the answer was no. And I think that it's important to mention, I wasn't a bad person by any means. A lot of people say, well, what do you mean? You did so well. You were so hardworking. You achieved the American dream. Like, why do you have so much regret?
Yeah.
It's like, honestly, regret, in my opinion, is you being more intelligent than you used to be, more aware and more capable than you used to be. I'm Allen version 3.7 now. This was back Allen version 2.6. I'm way more aware and way more capable at 37 than I was at 26. Way more aware and more capable at 26 than I was at 16, right? So in hindsight, I realized I was living my life off track, misaligned. I had too many friends, high school friends and college friends and corporate friends. Cognex's motto was work hard, play hard. I used to say work hard, play harder. And I had a ton of regret. So to me, the best teachers in life are regret and fulfillment. When you have deeply meaningful fulfillment and you feel fulfilled, I think that means you're more aligned. You're aligned with your goals, your core values. You're aligned with your mind, body, heart, and soul, that kind of thing. When you have regret, it's your system trying to say, hey, maybe stop doing that dumb shit that you should stop doing, whether it be drugs or alcohol or whatever. So I, at 26, flipped the script. I went from an external achiever trying to climb the corporate ladder towards sort of my dream was Fortune 50 CEO, like my hero at the time, Steve Jobs. Only those crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. That's a quote that's still up there. And I realize now, having read his biographies and studied him, he's not my hero anymore, but he was back then. It was, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, who's smarter, right? Microsoft versus Apple, that whole little techie, built my first computer at 12 type of thing. So I was like a super nerd and that was my dream. But I realized after that car accident that that's not actually my dream anymore. And so everything changed. And so this is when I found personal growth, self-improvement, and personal development. This is when I found fitness. And I became a fitness model, fitness competitor, fitness coach. I did 3 fitness shows. I did 43 photo shoots as a model, a fitness model. And it was starting my own company. So my company was Alan Lazaros LLC, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know. And I was an inspirational, motivational, and educational speaker. And I wanted to bring personal development to the school systems and to the masses.
Yeah.
And I now realize that that's a terrible idea in some ways, because I tell my business partner, Kevin, we're selling kale outside of a candy store on the internet here. But at the end of the day, personal growth, personal development, and self-improvement is still where my heart lies. Fitness, health, wealth, love, like working on yourself is still where my heart is and where my mind is. And that's what changed. So 11 years ago, I focused more on growing myself and reaching my full potential and helping others do the same. And now we have a 24-person team and we produce 86 podcasts, and I have 29 business owners that I coach, everywhere from 45 a year to one of my clients is 9 million last year. And we, I'm trying to help people reach their full potential in life and business as a business coach, trainer, and podcaster. And here I am now. So that's the long-winded answer to my story.
Long-winded or not, it hanging on every word of that. I when you said a lot of things there that really resonated with me, but one of the things I was thinking when I was listening to you, Alan, was that this could have gone so different in terms of that same situation happening, but how you responded. And one thing that came to my mind was, it might sound a bit corny, but like a phoenix, rising from the ashes. Yes, you're still here to tell the story. But another thing you said, and a lot of my listeners, I'm an open book. I tell my listeners, my audience, a lot about my personal journey, and I've used a lot of sentences similar to what you said before, but mine was a bit of the reverse. It's the same thing, but I just turned it around, which is when you said, if you look back, would you be happy? The way I would word that, ever since my diagnosis and my surgery, I stop myself and go, if I was to die tomorrow, would I be happy with the life I've lived? And to me, the answer is yes. But I had kind of the flip side to the way you did it. It's the same principle.
No, but the point is when I sorry to interrupt you, but when I ask that question now, I agree. Like, back then, my answer was no. 11 years later, oh, hell yeah. And I want to share this too. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I remember there were people close to me. I'll keep it anonymous. I was like, you got to keep it anonymous as a podcaster, right? So there were people close to me that said, what do you mean? Like, you did it. You did it. You have everyone's dream, like the American dream. Like, you did it. And I said, yeah. This person also said, like, what if you put in all this work? What if you put in all this work and what if it doesn't work out? And I said, now that I'm aligned and fulfilled as hell, now you're concerned? Isn't it interesting? When I was miserable and I was a computer engineer and I was, rising in corporate and I was unhappy, drinking all the time, it looked fun, but you weren't concerned at all. And now that I'm fulfilled as hell, starting my own company, you're a podcaster now, you're a bodybuilder now. Like, it was brutal, man. It's what's weird? The people who chase their dreams, and I mean really actually chase their dreams, not talk about it, almost don't want to talk about it because of how weird it makes you, they get made fun of the most until later on. And no one makes fun of me now, right? Because now I'm successful. And it's like, I don't need you to believe in me now. I needed you to believe in me back then when I felt alone and everyone was making fun of me. So, I'm very proud of how I've lived for the last 11 years. I'm not nearly as proud of how I lived the first 26. However, I'm definitely proud of a lot of what I did up to 26, but not all of it for sure. And that's what life is, right? It's You learn who you are over time, and then you realign, and off track, oh, back on track, off track, back on track. So sorry to interrupt you, but I think that we're saying the same thing in a different way.
Yeah. I also picked up on when you spoke about the reactions, because so many people just know it's fight or flight. You're the first person I've spoke to in a long time that has said it's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, and a lot of people aren't aware of, because so things, as the world's changing, we're digging deeper into people's responses, and it isn't just what it was. You mentioned the 90s. I'm a year younger than you, so I remember all these things you said, and it was just
so you're
simple
87?
fight or flight. I feel it.
Okay. So wait, so you're 89? No, not 87. I mean, you were born in 89.
I was born in 90. So
you're born in 90.
So just a couple of years younger.
I didn't mean you're 87.
Just
but I feel it. You're funny.
I do feel it. But yeah, you're right. So many different ways of looking at that, and I think different approaches. The way, and it was interesting. You said that when you asked yourself that sort of question back then, the answer was very different to what it is back now, and I feel the same. It's for me, being diagnosed with a brain tumor and having my whole world just stop. That happened quite later in my life, because that only happened a few years ago when I was 33. But I took my life for granted quite a bit in them early years, into my teens and 20s. I mean, there were still forms of trauma that we don't need to go into. But I think for me, I do. If I do, I spent a lot of my time chasing that dream, and very similar on this side of the pond. Maybe they don't call it the British dream, but it's the same sort of thing. You go to school,
uni,
you go to college, uni, and you either go on to be a doctor or a lawyer
or an engineer,
and that's the it's the same thing. Yeah. And
doctor, lawyer, engineer, professor, loser. It's
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, if and even getting to uni is hard enough unless your parents are a doctor, lawyer, professor, or an engineer. So it's really difficult how things have changed. But back then, I did, funny enough, want to be a lawyer all the way through my late teens, and as I went into college, but it was kind of similar to the high school on your side in terms of where you are in that age, because I was 16 at that point, and I wanted to be a lawyer. All throughout my childhood, I want to be a solicitor, was what we call it here, right? Attorney is the equivalent over there, right? It's weird how life takes a turn. I couldn't be any more prouder of the route I took. As you were saying to me before about the people you've helped, and it resonated with me, because I'm like, wow, sometimes when I go, not down dark places, but I take it for granted, and it takes someone like yourself to remind me personally of, I feel that. That's exactly the route I've taken. So when you said that question, it just got to me. What I've started recently doing as I deal with this illness, because it is still traumatic, it's ongoing, but I do, when I go down dark places, I ask myself that very question. I go, if something was to happen to me tomorrow, would I be happy with the life I've lived? I'm 35, and if the answer is yes, then that's all good.
Keep cranking. Yeah.
If the answer's no, I need to fix something.
And figure out why.
For me, and for me, fortunately, the answer has at this stage always been, do you know what? Yeah.
Here's another question.
Ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is great conversation. Very existential. I appreciate it. I always ask this question too: is what is future me going to be frustrated with present me about?
Yeah, I like that.
You can future pace regret. You can project into the future. So they've done studies where they hook people up to an fMRI, and some people can only envision a stranger. It's like it gets blurry after a month. So I do this with certain clients. I say, okay, go a week out. They're like, yep. Okay, go a month out. Yep. Quarter. It gets blurry. Okay, go a year, go 10 years. I have I'm very grateful to be able to project very, very far into the future. And no one knows anything for sure, but I can picture what I want my life to look like at 50, 60, 70, 80. Gen Xers, I recently talked to a few of them, and I remember saying, like, you guys didn't really think about longevity that much, huh? And I was talking to my mom at dinner not long ago, and she's having a couple challenges that she didn't anticipate. And I remember thinking in my head, like, obviously, you didn't really think much about this. Like, I'm preparing for my 50s now. I always said my career wouldn't even start until I'm 50. No one even knew who Steve Jobs was till he was 50. So now that said, it's a duality. You can't only live for the future. You have to also be, I always say, learn from the past, build in the present toward a bigger, better, brighter future. And it has to be in that order. But like, some of the questions I ask myself is, when I look back, okay, we have a live event at the end of the month. We've done one every year for 9 years. This will be our 9th year. I looked back at all the photos from the other ones because I'm creating a post for this one. And it was like, oh my God, I was so naive, And I'm frustrated with past Alan for being such an idiot. Now, at the end of the day, I don't think I was less intelligent than anyone else. Of course I'm smarter now, right? So I try to reverse that and go into the future and say, okay, I'm 37 now. What is 40-year-old Alan going to be mad at me for? Because none of us make optimal decisions. It's like you do your best with what you know now. And all of us can look back at high school and go, I didn't know anything. And then you look at your guides and your mentors and you go, oh, it turns out they didn't know anything either. Damn. So, at least for me anyways, at the end of the day, you do the best you can with what you currently have in your awareness and capabilities, and you fail forward. Hopefully forward, not backward. But what you can do is go into the future now, project in your mind, and go, okay, what am I going to be frustrated with? I'm going to be frustrated with wasting time on certain people that are never going to succeed anyway. It's called self-imposed servitude to thankless people. So the moment I met you, I was running you through a filter I had. Unstable, naive, manipulative, entitled, delusional, significance-driven, arrogant, and immature. I ran you through a filter immediately. Because if you are any of those things, I know that I'm going to regret spending time with you. And so you were green for me. I do green, yellow, red. Red means I leave. Take care. It's been real. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. But you were green. That's why I'm still sitting in the room when we had internet issues. Okay. Right? That's why we're still going over time. Because I realize in hindsight, reflecting back, that I used to spend a lot of time investing in thankless people, entitled, arrogant people. And I don't do that anymore. So that's a good question for everyone out there to ask is, what am I going to be upset with myself in the future for doing or not doing? Are you going to be upset that you didn't write that book or didn't start that podcast or didn't, do that triathlon? Or are you going to be upset that you kept that relationship? Like, there's a relationship in my past I wasted time and effort I will never get back. And if I could go back, I'd punch myself right in the face and I'd say, dude, wake up, leave her immediately. And I know all of us have one of those, okay? People are like, be kinder to yourself. No, it wouldn't have worked. I needed a punch in the face. At the end of the day, you're not going to change unless you actually face these hard things. And you and I were forced to face these things because we faced mortality. My car accident and your diagnosis forced us to answer the hard questions honestly. And anyone can do that now. It's called an ego death. Ego was gone after that car accident. It's called the phoenix from the ashes, right? The ego death. Yep. The old you is gone. You can use a million metaphors. Caterpillar into butterfly. Snake shedding an old skin. Hermit crab into a plant in a small pot versus a bigger. There's a million metaphors. The point is transformation is supposed to happen, but you don't have to get in a goddamn car accident to do that. You can go into the future, be mad at yourself in advance for the terrible choices you're making, and then shift.
Such a powerful mentality as well to what I found really fascinating is so many people do live in the past and live with regret. And one of the ways I like the idea of forward thinking, almost as a preventative measure, but it's very powerful actually to go forward and ask yourself that question that you mentioned before. If you was to set yourself, let's say 10 years away, 46 or 56-year-old, and the two versions of yourself were having a conversation, how would you want that conversation to go?
Nice.
Not enough people do they? Not enough people think that far ahead, and you really hit the nail on the head, because when I think about my parents or Gen X or the baby boomers, if we want to go further back than that, with the grandparents, it's all very short-lived. Like everything's in a very compact life. You go through school, then you go to this, you've got to jump straight into work, then you need to be making kids of yourself, buying a house. Whereas you're thinking long term, you're thinking, no, do you know what? In 30 years, this is what I want to be. And you're going even further than that. You're not just saying, I want to be here in 30 years. You're going, when I get to 30 years, I want to be having a conversation with myself in 40 years to make sure I'm still. So I found that really, truly fascinating.
Yeah, I'm grateful. People's, I like to show both sides of the coin. You don't really know something unless you can discord both sides, debate both sides. People are going to say, well, what if you die tomorrow? And it's like, no. See, the average life expectancy is 80. For women, it's a little higher. For men, it's a little lower. What if you don't? People always say, well, YOLO, you only live once. What if I die tomorrow? It's like, listen, what if you don't? Because statistically speaking, then I shouldn't plan for retirement then. I guess I shouldn't invest today for a bigger, better, brighter tomorrow. See, it's hopeless and nihilistic to not try to make the future brighter.
It's like when people win the lottery and they blow it all because of that YOLO mentality. It's like, whoa, I've won X amount of million, multi-million, 8 figures. And they're just going to party, and they don't think about the future. They don't expect that they're going to live another 20, 30 years when that money's run out.
Well, they didn't have a long-term time perspective. I love the chess metaphor in this. Beginners can think 1 to 3 moves ahead. Novices 3 to 5. Amateurs 5 to 7. Masters 7 to 9. Grandmasters 12 plus. Just because I'm thinking 12 moves ahead does not mean I'm not enjoying today. That's the thing people don't understand. I can love this moment, and this can build my future. Callum, is that how I pronounce it?
Let's call it YOLO-AF. You only live once, and also future.
Yeah. Nice. This is good.
Yes, it is Callum. Yeah. Callum.
I'm on this episode, right? And isn't it possible for me to enjoy being here and make sure this builds toward something? And it's not or. It's not or. If I showed up wasted, it would be or. Right? Isn't it possible for me to have a meaningful conversation with you and have it build toward our collective win-win-win, bigger, better, brighter future for the listener, for you, and for me? I don't play win-lose games, and I don't play short-term games. I promised myself at 26 I would reach my full potential, because the byproduct of that is a high quality of life. People are like, well, you can't just delay gratification. Yes, you can, because you can have gratification along the way. Like, you can better your best. When I get off here, I'm going to feel like I did a meaningful job, and I'm going to feel fulfilled. And it's going to also build my career and my mission and my purpose and my passion and my future and my craft. You see, it's not an or, it's an and. It's a win for you, it's a win for your audience, and it's a win for me. Why can't we build win-win-wins? Cigarette companies are the opposite. Win for the company, loss for the consumer. Win for the government because they tax it, right? It's a loss for the person. I don't play win-lose games. I try to play win-win-win-win-win games, which is very hard in game theory. because
especially chess.
Exactly. Well, that is a win-lose finite game, but it's a win-win if both chess players get better, if both chess players get smarter, right? And so our company, it needs to be a win for the consumer and the client and customer. In this order, by the way: win for the client and customer, win for the company, win for the team, win for the world, and then a win for the owners. In that order. And I'm one of the owners, me and Kev. We pay out after everyone else gets paid. But it can't be a win-lose either, because in the past we martyred ourselves and it was a win for everyone else and then we were broke.
Yeah.
At one point we had one of our team members who had a better lifestyle than us by far, right?
Yep.
It's like that's how you go out of business. So, but when you study game theory, there is a win-win-win, but it requires a deeper level of thought. Make sure your life is a win-win-win. Win for the earth, win for you, win for others. It's yourself, others, in the world, and there's a way to do it. We all sweep our own porch, the whole world will be cleaner, right? I mean, that's what the hell are we doing here?
And you mentioned fulfillment before, and I want to touch on that because as you're saying all this stuff to me, it sounds very much like you've hit a point in your life where you are getting that fulfillment. It's not just about money. It's not just about the success. You said before about leaving. Your ego died that day. Yeah, you're still here. You're still alive. But something in you died in that moment, and a new version of you was reborn. And I think, as corny as that sounds, there's some truth to that, isn't there? There's some real power to that. And with that comes fulfillment. What do you think it is? Because obviously not everyone needs to have trauma like we have, but what do you think it is that's stopping people from feeling that fulfillment? Is that ego? Is that greed?
It's the and you mentioned my ego died that day and something rose from it. Agreed. And I developed another one, but it's a different version, right? So ego death is not something that only happens once. It happens over and over and over and over again. And that's why I say I'm Alan version 3.7, because as a computer engineer, it's a good metaphor. Imagine the first iPhone, 2007, Steve Jobs and Apple comes out with the very first iPhone, revolutionary breakthrough. It's an iPod, it's on the internet, and it has no keyboard. Oh my goodness, amazing. Can you imagine how shitty that would be compared to this?
I mean, even I go further back to Nokia.
Yeah,
that Nokia 3210. In my opinion, I was 8-9 years old. That was the greatest phone ever made.
It was to date.
you could launch that over a building, over 3 blocks, and it would just bounce back.
Yeah, you know it. But that's my point. Is the first iPhone would be hot garbage compared to this is the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I think there's the 17 or 18 now. I don't know. The point is, you have the same thing. Alan version 3.7 is, what's the difference between this and the first iPhone? They made it better. Every year, every quarter, actually. They invested in product development, R&D, better keyboard, better touchpad, better materials, better iOS updates, better apps, better. So you are different now. How do you make an ego death happen? Because in coaching, so I usually have my number up here. I just changed my board. I have almost 7,000 hours of one-on-one coaching over the last 11 years. People all over the world, all different industries, all different backgrounds. Canada, Italy, New Zealand, Australia, several in the UK, Spain. I've been coaching for 11 years now. And what I've found is that growth always happens after humble pie.
Love that.
If you aim too high, you're going to get humble pie. If you aim too low, you won't grow. I realized that part of my job, I started wondering why I was such a coward. Let me explain. I was on with a man named Andy yesterday. Andy's also from the UK. He's a podcaster. And I had a breakthrough session with him yesterday. And he messaged me this morning. He said, "Thank you so much for what we did yesterday. I really appreciate it." Let me find this. He messaged me this today. "Hey man, just wanted to say thanks again for yesterday. Of course, I have a lot of work to do, but having been thinking a lot on it, really has been a huge help in terms of how I can simplify everything, keep it all under the podcast umbrella, feel a lot more confident in what I'm doing for sure." He messaged me that this morning. I said, "You're very welcome, brother. I'm just glad what I said helped you gain clarity. My job is hard because I want to help people succeed, but in order to do that, I often have to risk hurting their feelings. The reason people are not more successful in real life, I'm not talking about Instagram, because remember, I see both. I see the Instagram account and the bank account. I see the wonderful wedding photos and the marriage. I coach couples. I've been coaching couples for 6 years. Okay, so I see the good, the bad, and the ugly. People are showing you what they want you to see. Facts.
Yeah.
Even if they're showing you things that aren't great, they want you to see it. So you just have to understand there's layers. Everyone's freaking garage has shit in it, right? Until the in-laws are coming over, they clean their garage real quick. Pretend we don't live here, right? It's human nature, okay? But here's my point. With almost 7,000 hours of seeing the front of the scenes and behind the scenes, I started realizing, okay, the reason people are not more successful is because they think inaccurately about themselves, others, or the world. So with every client I have, there's usually the moment where it's like, damn, I have to tell him or her that she's inaccurate in something. I have to pop the bubble. We all have bubbles of delusion. You know those people that are overweight that think they're in shape?
Oh, yeah.
Or those people that were awesome at soccer for you, football for me, like in high school. And it's like, yo, stop. You're not athletic anymore. Like, I know you think you're awesome, but like that was 20 years ago, bro. Right? And he or she, usually he in this case, cannot move forward until they face the truth. Like if you're overweight, you have to fucking face that. If you're an alcoholic, you have to admit it. You have to accept it and then work on it. Why would you work on something you don't admit? If you're out there right now and you think you make wonderful decisions, you're not going to change your decision-making paradigm. Humility is everything. Inward humility. People are like, what about you, Alan? You sound so arrogant. No, inward humility. You need to know you don't know, so you read the book. You need to know you don't know, so you listen to the podcast. You need to know you don't know, so you get a coach. Know that you need a therapist. You don't need anything, but if you want to grow, growth starts with admitting the truth.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. So last piece of this, we all have 3 4K TVs. This is the way I explain it. I say you are not successful because you don't believe enough in what you already believe. That's not it. And we live in an overly validating, overly affirming internet world. ChatGPT will convince you you're the best thing since sliced bread. It's the worst idea ever. You are not more successful because you're wildly inadequate and you can fix it. It's an and. Okay? Yes, you're enough as you are, blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. Imagine if Apple was like, oh, the iPhone's good enough now. Well, Android's about to start crushing you then. Right? Yeah, we're enough. There you go. Nice. You have an Android. Yes, you're enough spiritually. And if you want to be more successful, you have to get better. Imagine like Michael Jordan being like, oh, I'm good enough now. I think I'm good enough. I think 1 championship, that'll do it. Like, no. So 3 4K TVs. One is yourself, one is others, and one is the world. All of us have all 3. We have a mental map of ourself, others, and the world. We have one that's crisp, high definition. Mine was the world. I was an engineer. I studied every science. I math, technology, engineering, business, finance. Like I understood the economy, global economy, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't understand myself. So my HD TV was the world. I understood the world and how it worked. Government, business to consumer, business to business, how it all works. You know, private versus public versus charity versus nonprofit, how it all works. But I didn't understand myself. Why? Because there was pain there. I studied the world because I didn't want to look at my atrocious past. I didn't want to face that my last name isn't my last name and that I lost 3 families by the time I was 14 and that I had an awful childhood in a lot of ways. I didn't want to face it. So I always say if you want a coach, you probably need a therapist. That was me. Dozens of mentors and coaches, not a single therapist until I was 32. My business partner, Kev, had a therapist, wanted a therapist, needed a coach desperately. It's like, brother, success matters too. Okay? So my TV is, we all have one blurry one, we all have one HD one, and we all have one like regular definition, like VHS tape one. You remember VHS tapes.
I remember that, yeah.
You know it. And so at the end of the day, you got to figure out for you. The gold is always buried where you least want to dig. Always. The difference between you and me is when we faced mortality, we started digging where we didn't want to. That same is true for everyone I coach. You want to know the problem? Look in the mirror. It's you. There's something you are inaccurate about. You are inaccurate about yourself, others, or the world. And you're like a self-driving car that doesn't have updated maps. It keeps driving off a cliff and blaming the world. Its inaccurate thinking is always the root cause of all lack of success.
I mean, I'm hanging on to every word and nodding in my head and visually as well. For those of you that are listening and not watching, I'm taking all this in and thinking, like, it makes so much sense. But what do you say to people who are listening to this that kind of agree, they know what you're saying is right, but they just can't hold that mirror up to themselves? They just can't leave. We mentioned ego before. For this moment, they can't put that ego down, stare themselves in the mirror, take a hard look at, what's stopping them from being where they want to be. And also, like what you've said before, not just where you want to be tomorrow, like what's stopping you from being 10 years, 20 years? Like, yes, you can live right now, but that doesn't mean, I don't want to use the word ignorant because I think that might come across a bit harsh, but it is, isn't it?
It's ignorance.
Being
100%.
ignorance to your future.
We're all ignorant. We're just less ignorant than we used to be and not as ignorant as we're going to be. No, wait. But everyone's ignorant. I always ask, like, where are we still putting leeches on our skin to cure illness? Where are we still thinking the world is flat? Apparently, there's some people who still do. It's like, that's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, what are you going to choose? Ignorance? Well, ignorance is bliss. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's temporary bliss for long-term devastation.
And it's hindrance to growth as well, isn't it?
Say again?
It's a hindrance to. It's 100%. The opposite of growth. Ignorance is stopping you from. People are moaning, complaining about what they're not going to be, and then they turn that into bitterness, jealousy towards others that are successful. And therefore, that ignorance isn't bliss because they're not in a blissful place. They're in a bitter place. Yeah. So it's the opposite of ignorance.
Well, this comes back to the game theory thing, and I'm an engineer, so bear with me for a second. But like, if you've never studied game theory, like, why do we call it the dating game? Right? I have several clients. Health, Wealth, and Love is what I do. We have the Conscious Couples podcast. We have Next Level University. I have Business Growth University. Between those three podcasts, I have listeners in Health, Wealth, and Love. And my favorite thing about coaching is I get to learn all people, all industries, all backgrounds, all culture. It's the coolest thing ever. I have all the cheat codes. It's the best. I learn more from my clients than they learn from me, for sure. Yeah. I pick their. If there's anything you know that I don't, I will find it. I want to understand. Deeper understanding makes you believe. I'll give this to everybody. Deeper understanding. I have a client, lost 22 pounds in 20 weeks. Her name's Bianca. Okay? Documented, did it. I asked her today. I was on a call with her earlier. It's my client. 7 years. I've been coaching her for 7 years. I said, 0 to 10, how certain are you could lose 20 pounds? She said 10. I said, imagine if you had that same level of certainty in everything else. And she said, well, how? I said, well, here's the difference. If I said you want to make $20,000, how certain are you? 0 to 10. She's like, 4. I said, okay, let's figure out the difference. In fitness, you know exactly how to do it and you've proven it. In finance, you're not as in control because you don't know the formula. So for anyone out there who is struggling with this, there's a formula for everything.
I just want to, I mean, it's more of a question tying on to what you said, but I've got the word currency that keeps popping into my head as you were saying that, because that's one thing that ties into all three of those areas of life, which is there's there's an amount, there's a currency in all three in terms of like love, the social currency. You know, I don't know if I'm taking my own mind there, but
No,
I'm
it's
just
great.
thinking of all three areas that you've just mentioned, and that word just pops to mind. They all follow the same sort of blueprint.
Principles.
Yeah.
The world, it revolves around certain fundamental principles. Gravity is one of them. 9.8 meters per second squared. That's one of the things that I love about being an engineer.
Well, the flat earthers don't believe in gravity, evidently.
Well, then they're screwed. And I'm sure they're wildly unfulfilled. That's my truth. There's no way you're fulfilled. You're probably just enjoying hedonistic pleasure all the time. Like, you can't build. Imagine me trying to build a skyscraper and being like, I don't really believe in gravity. Like, it's ridiculous. Like this camera, Riverside, like engineers built the world by understanding accurate thinking. If you don't understand that gravity exists and you jump out a window, you're in serious trouble, right? I know it's funny, but I can trace all from what I can tell thus far in my life. I'm only 37, so I don't want to talk from a mountaintop. But I do want to say this. I think ignorance and apathy are the root cause of all human suffering. We either don't know enough or we don't care enough. And those can be improved with caring more and learning more. So, for example, my client doesn't know how to get debt-free. There's an exact formula. I can teach it to you. It's actually really simple. So I have her tracking every single day how much she earns and how much she spends. And I said 0.1% increase in earning each day, which leads to 9% per quarter, 41% year over year, and try to get 0.1% less in spending each day. And then it flips. Now you're debt free. What a total shocker, right? It's just math. But it's very hard to do. It's simple once you know the equation. It's like magic tricks. You ever have someone do a magic trick and then once you find out it's not impressive?
Yeah.
I feel like that's life. Like, if you've ever seen The Prestige, unbelievable movie. Yeah. It's like, unbelievable movie. Once you know the trick, it's not that impressive. So I had a $90,000 day 2-3 weeks ago. Okay, if you knew the 9-year formula that we did to get that, it wouldn't be that impressive. Yeah. Seriously, it took 9 years to make that 90 grand in one day. That's our biggest day yet. I say yet on purpose.
Of course.
But like, once you know the formula, it's not that impressive. That's the paradox of life. Like, we have the 25 conscious love languages. Once you know the love languages, and every partner we've ever done this with, we coach, Emilia and I, we coach couples. So we actually have one later today with David and Skyla. And we sit down and we do these 25 conscious love languages, and you do green, yellow, red. Okay, one of them is fitness. If fitness is super important to her and not important to you at all, you're missing each other. And now she has to go to the gym alone while you're upset about it. Like, if you don't rectify that, there's going to be tension forever. Maybe it's fine for the first day, week, month, year, decade, divorce.
I mean, I'm going through a divorce right now, so I completely understand what you're saying.
Got it. And there was a formula that could have helped you. And I'm not implying that you should still get together. Some people should break up, but there's a formula for how you ended up here. And I'm sure if you could take this version of you and go back in time with what you understand now, you would have made different decisions. Right? So we all have to make effective decisions knowing they're not as effective as they could be, and then try to figure out after failing forward what we would have done differently so that we can better our best so that the collective world improves. It's like the harbor that rises all ships. And that's what I dedicated my life to. And hopefully all the listeners do the same. It's in game theory, everything can be broken down into its smallest components, right? It's like the atom makes the molecule, makes the compound, makes the, cell, makes the organ, makes the organism, makes the, ecosystem, makes the economy, makes the globe. 8 billion people on Earth, 195 countries. Like, you got to figure this whole thing out. And it's so challenging because preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, corporate, it's like, those are little games. Those are easy. It's like, well, when you're 6, you can only handle kindergarten or preschool, and then you're 7 and they jump you into kindergarten. It's like, okay, this is a bigger game. It's like, Carrie's cute. I like Carrie. I want to hang out with Carrie. right?
Yeah.
I had a crush on Carrie in kindergarten.
Right.
I won't say her last name. But anyways, so then it was like, elementary school. It's like, this is a bigger game, bigger school, row. And then it's middle school, and it's like, the 8th grade girls, this is interesting. And then it's high school, and it's like, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
High school was awful. Like, I'm a prepubescent. You think I look young now, man? Imagine me in 14 years old.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. So and then college is awesome, and then it's like corporate. This sucks. So you see how we've gamified life to be in the challenge skills sweet spot. There are no super fulfilled, happily married 12-year-olds. Like, you don't know anything at 12. You don't know how to talk to men, women. You don't know the deal. You don't understand anything. Like, you haven't figured out the game, right? I'm 37. I have the game of life figured out way better than before. So I can be way more effective. I can have a negotiation. I can talk to you on a podcast. I know how to use Riverside. I know how to use a phone. I know how to use WhatsApp. I know how to email. There was a time in my life where I didn't know any of those things. So you just collectively learn over time how yourself, others in the world works, gamify it, and now you can actually design your own future in advance, reverse engineer it, and get to work.
And I like how you've taken what you call the game theory. What I like about that, there's two quotes that come into my mind as you were talking there, and I think they'll fall in line with what you're saying, which is, one, success leaves clues, in terms of monitored, and the second one is what gets measured gets managed. So when you were bringing up your client before, and I was actually saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. All these areas of life can be treated like a game.
Mm-hmm.
They're not only treated, they are. They are a game. And people
they have
just
things
think,
you have to measure, right? How do you know if you're winning or losing at your own game? Metrics, habits. I have metrics and habit trackers. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Because people do it for calories, don't they?
Yeah, of course.
People do it for nutrition. Most of the people who are listening to this, they already will probably be into fitness. They're trying to, I'm a fitness professional, but a lot of the people I work with are professional people. Yes, they want fitness is a big chunk of their life. But I feel like we can translate a lot of the stuff I get them to do. That's with the metrics, success leaves clues. That's why that sentence came back to me, and then it's a powerful mindset of going, now let's take that and apply that to your marriage.
Yes.
Let's take that and apply that to your business.
Yes.
Or to your career ladder, if you will, to your education. And yet it's so simple, isn't it? It's so simple yet so powerful.
So simple. You know what it is? It's once you know the trick, you go back to the magic trick thing. Once you know the trick and how to do it, it is simple, but it's not easy. The greatest masters make things look easy. And that's the problem. You see the $90,000 a day and me getting a new house. You don't see the 9 years. Right? You don't see the 9 months prior to that struggle bus. Like, how am I going to do this? You don't see the whole game. You only see the tip of the iceberg. And I'm trying to teach people what's beneath that iceberg, and that's one-on-one coaching. But the majority of people don't come to one-on-one coaching. And ironically, the people who do are the ones who need it most. Need it least. Right? The ones who need it most are the least inclined.
I've had many clients who have said to me, when I've demonstrated exercises in my gym, and they've gone, "Oh, you make it look easy." Just tying back to they only see that, and my response to them is, "Well, we'd be in trouble if I didn't." But that's kind of the same thing, which is like, you don't realize it's taken me years to master the technique to demonstrate that to you and have the authority to trust myself to do that. You're just seeing me demonstrating what you class as a hard exercise because you've never done it before. I'm doing it, and you're.
But there's something they could do that you would consider hard.
Exactly.
And that's why you need clarity on your own uniqueness. And I always say, 1 is too few, 5 is too many. Pick 3 things you intend to really master. I picked health, wealth, and love. And we just did an episode on the 5 things you need clarity on. You need clarity on who your dream partner is. You need clarity on what your sport is. Remember, there's a difference between I'm a weight trainer who also runs versus I'm a runner who weight trains.
Well, I'm a weight trainer who plays tennis, if that helps.
Nice. Perfect. Okay, cool. Good. Clarity on the sport. You need clarity on what motivates you, what drives you. You need clarity on your craft. Like, what are you going to do in your career? Serena Williams is tennis. Michael Phelps is swimming. Tom Brady is football. Oprah Winfrey is media. Tony Robbins is speaking. Like, these people have clarity on what their thing is.
And they master that craft.
And they master it over and over and over again. It's called long obedience in the same direction. I got that from someone I had on my podcast named Coach Michael Burt. I'm a coach who also podcasts. Kevin's a podcaster who also coaches. You see? Right. You have to have the epicenter. So your career, and I always say this, do not build your career on a weakness. Listen, I'm tall and lanky. Okay, I did fitness shows, men's physique, blah, blah, blah. Like, I realized very quickly that without steroids, I'm not going to compete with some of these guys.
I didn't even know that Americans used the term lanky. To be honest, that's the first time I've ever heard.
Man. I was 6'2",
in America.
150 pounds soaking wet, just lanky. Now, I'm not anymore, but like, I'm not going to be in the NBA. You see, I'm not going to be a professional snowboarder. I'm good at those things. But you can't build a career. This is what I say to my clients. If you aren't top 20% just showing up, don't build your career on it. I'll give you an example. There's someone I used to coach. Her name is Gabby. She gave her first speech, standing ovation, unbelievable, didn't even have to try. She is such a good speaker. It's ridiculous. There are some people who I've coached where it's like, do not be a podcaster under any circumstance. I'm not trying to be unkind. It is not your thing. Everyone has something they're really good at, just naturally. If you're not top 20%, meaning if 100 random people on Earth, random sample, are put in a room, if you're not top 20% at the start, that's probably not your gifting. Like for me, running, I'm really fast and like I have these long giraffe legs. I ran a 7:27 mile recently, like easily. Like I don't even run. Right. And I have a client who's 5'2", who literally her all out sprint is the 7:27 pace. But she's strong as hell. Right. So just don't build your career on a weakness. If you want to be really successful, you have to at least be top 1%, which is still only 1 in 100. There's 8 billion people on planet Earth. There's people that are 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. That's the Tom Brady of the world. But like, make sure you start out at top 20% because it's going to take a lot of work to get top 1%. And top 1% in a craft, remember, I'm not saying top 1% in everything. Anyone can be top 1% in something.
How do you think that you find what that is, though? I mean, we talked about self-awareness slightly before. But as you were saying that, I'm thinking to myself, I wanted to be a lawyer, as I mentioned earlier on. But when I look back now, doing a lot of reflection, there were the key moments. When you just said that, you realised what your strength is, and then you can really go in on that. And for me, it was when I taught my first ever class of, it was an outside workout of 200 people. And of course, I was anxious leading up to it. And another coach, who's my business partner, he was a bit nervous as well. The moment I took the microphone and it was passed on to me and they turned that amplifier on and I had 200 people. They were about to go on a big run, but my job was to warm them up before they begun the race, right?
Nice.
And I commanded the attention of 200 people and the anxiety just gone. I'm like, this is
nice.
it. This is what I'm good. This is what I can do. And then I've capitalized on that, set up my own
nice.
gym, But I think that was a moment for me where I stumbled on that. And then
there are clues.
Yeah.
There are clues. No, but that's exactly the answer. Right. There are clues. When you rewatch the movie of your own life, and I realize now I have a very strong memory, so I can do this. This might be harder for some people. there are clues. Like, dude, I got straight A's in math. I never even had to try. Like my friend Tara from high school, she's like, I study for 10 hours, teach it to you in 10 minutes, and you get a better fucking grade than I do. And it's like, I don't know, like it just always made sense for me. Math and numbers and finance, oh, easy peasy. I have another client who's in finance, easy for him. Not nearly as easy when it comes to like podcasting. So some of us are, and here's there's a book called Multiple Intelligences. It talks about the 9 forms of genius. Kinesthetic genius is like a Michael Jordan. Okay, that's there's the math genius, which would be like an Einstein. Like there's 9 forms of genius. Some people have almost all of them, and we all know someone like that. Everyone think of someone who's good at fucking everything.
I'm sure if you're listening to this now, a name has probably popped into your head within the first 5 seconds.
My beautiful girlfriend and future wife, Emilia, she's good at everything, dude. Everything. It's crazy. I'm 6'2", 207 pounds. I've been weight training for 11 years straight, and I mean like barely any days off. And she barely changes the weight. Like she's just strong as hell. It's unbelievable, this woman. But anyways, my point is some people are gifted. We know that. I would consider myself fairly gifted. You're not allowed to say that. I know you're not allowed to say that, but it does people a disservice when you don't tell the truth. Not everyone's going to be Michael Phelps. It's not going to happen. Don't build your career on swimming when you're not fit for swimming. They did a study where if they took Michael Phelps and a marathoner's physique and switched them, they'd both be mediocre at best. There is a genetic inclination. Like, don't be a horse that tries to be a zebra that tries to also be a monkey. Like, it's a metaphor, but try to be you. And here's the best part. Study you. Study you. Where are you really good with very little effort? I didn't have to try that hard in math. I was better than everyone at math without even having to try. It was weird. Okay? Even in college with some of these engineers that were brilliant, it was like, why can't you guys get this? Like, what is the deal? Right? Yeah. You seem like a prick too. And by the way, if you are really, really, really good at something, usually you get socially ostracized. So there's pain associated with it.
Oh, so it's almost like imposter syndrome. You almost feel like you can't be good at that because of...
Yeah, you dim. You typically dim because belonging is how we're wired. So usually we someone who's really good looking, for example, they usually, people like being around them, but the person who's really good looking doesn't understand why people don't want to take photos with them.
Yeah, I don't understand it sometimes. Kind
of yeah. Yeah, you're funny. I love it. But the truth is like being great is actually really terrible for your social life. And that's a whole nother conversation. I know we got to jump here soon. But for anyone out there, the only wrong answer, if nothing else came of this, is look inside and look at your life and find the clues. Success leaves clues, so does failure. It's called bright spots and dark spots. Like, I'm never going to be a likable guy. Never. I never understood. I never understood why no one likes me. I'm not joking. Guys, it's okay. Don't try to save me from this. It's okay. I'm an engineer. I think very in numbers. Everyone thinks I'm cold and calculated. Like, a girl, do I look fat in this? Yes, at level 6 out of 10. Like, you can't say that, right? Yeah. And as my engineer brain, it's like, yeah, you do actually. Did you not want me to tell you the truth? Like, I didn't understand, right? It's like, well, I tell you when you look great too. But the point I'm making is accept who you are. There's going to be a lot of people listening to your podcast who do not like me. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not a likable guy. You might respect me though. And I need to respect myself. And I didn't respect myself when I was trying to get everyone to like me. Okay? Some people are they naturally fit in. Do I naturally fit in? Never. Never in a million years. I had to manufacture belonging. And my point is, own it. If you're average, own it. If you're above average, own it. If you're below average, own it. Figure out where you're above average. Build a career on it. Make it meaningful work. Make sure the economy actually pays for it. And get a great coach.
Amazing. And as we sort of bring this in for landing, I guess I want to ask you what the final question here is. Let's, people who are still listening to this and the mind's blown like mine is, what would be the first step for them to start changing their current mindset
I would say habit tracking. There's a few things that all of us do every day that are necessary for us to stay sane and on track. I call it the unrelenting tortoise versus the arrogant and entitled hare. The unrelenting tortoise is consistent and sustainable and methodical. Some people it's I read in the morning and I read at night. Good. Some people it's I go to the gym in the morning and I do mobility at night. Good. You got to find out what your guardrails are, the things that ground you, and track them. I'm a big fan of streaks. I have a fitness streak I've been doing for 4 years. I have numbers on my whiteboard over here. Four is a metric for the live event that we're coming to. 6,988 is the number of coaching sessions I've done. And then 1,488 is the number of days in a row that I've exercised with Emilia.
Love that.
I love streaks and I love tracking and I love habit tracking. I used to carry around these little black notebooks and I know I'm an engineer, but if you don't like numbers, you also can't gamify your life.
Yeah, I agree.
Imagine if Michael Phelps' coach was like, yeah, just swim around, man. Jump in the pool, swim around. You can't win winging it. It is arrogant to think you can win at life winging it. It's arrogant. Not all those who wander are lost. Most of them are. J.R.R. Tolkien, not all those who wander are lost. Most of them are. When I was lost, I was pretending my life was good. When I was the most lost, I was pretending my life was the best. But deep down, I was unfulfilled. Now that I'm on track, I actually dim it down, because I'm afraid to be hated, okay? The people who are hyping up like their life is amazing, most likely they're lost. The first step to getting unlost is admitting you're lost, accepting you're lost, and then starting small and getting on track. So habit tracking will help you do that. Every client and every team member tracks metrics and habits every single day. And it's been unbelievable to see the compound effect of how that works.
Yeah, and I mean, we use it in terms of weight loss, fitness. We use, that doesn't sound so bizarre to people in terms of tracking calories, but we don't imply that same gamification into other areas of our life. How are we tracking how many dates you and your spouse are going on? How many times are you buying her flowers? How many times are you taking your child? You're doing the school run, or and so that's family side, business. Metrics. It's mind-blowing stuff. And I think, just adding on to what you were just saying, which your answer was far more superior, but I just wanted to throw my own 2 cents into that, which is I think it's not simple, like we said before, but it's not like revealing the magic trick. We're kind of you're kind of lifting the curtain here into your success a little bit. But I think in terms of starting, what you've just said is pretty much the most simplest way that anybody can start, which is start implementing habits and then, more importantly, tracking them.
Yep. It will be life-changing if you stick with it. Nothing will change your life unless you stick with it.
I love that.
I'm going to leave success. That bit. Nice.
Go on.
Every success starts with changing something you do daily.
I was going to end it before on something you said, and then you come out with something even better.
Appreciate you, brother. This has been such a pleasure. I really, I hope your listeners took a lot from this, and I hope you took a lot from this. And I appreciate being here, and I love how you do this with your platform. You keep doing what you're doing, man. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And where can people plug your stuff in now? Where can people go and check you out a little bit more if they're interested in going a bit further with this?
So if I haven't scared you away yet, that's a good sign. I had an ex who said dating you is like dating a Stairmaster. And I now realize, that I'm not for everybody. I say this to my clients. Nothing works unless you work. I don't want to just, wing it in life and hope it works out. If you're sick and tired of feeling lost and you want to actually gamify and reverse engineer the future you want and actually work, and you're humble enough to know that you have to put in the work and that it's going to be hard and that that's okay, and life is not supposed to be easy, you just handle hard better. I always say this: if you make your day-to-day hard, your life will be easy. If you make your day-to-day easy, your life's going to be hard. Okay? And pay now, play later, play now, pay later. Which one's better? Which one do you think the credit card companies are doing, right? So at the end of the day, life works that way. I didn't make the rules. If you're sick and tired of winging it, I'm your guy. But come with humble pie, because I'm done trying to pop your bubbles every other call. Like, if you're not going to take it seriously, I don't want you to reach out. So Next Level University, we have success and personal development in your pocket from anywhere on the planet every single day, completely free. It's a podcast. And we do one every day. And it's 0.1% improvement every single day. Health, wealth, and love. We have a podcast, a website called nextleveluniverse.com. And we have a book club. We have masterclasses we do. We have a journal called the Next Level Dreamliner. We got all kinds of stuff. You can Google my name, ChatGPT, whatever AI you use. Look me up before you do. And if you don't think it's a good fit, don't reach out. That's okay. I'm not for everyone. But if you do want someone who's really going to help you reach your full potential, because that's really what my life is dedicated to, then yeah, absolutely. Let's rock and roll.
I love that. Thank you, Alan, for coming on. I can just make a load of clips from this of all the quotes that you've come out with, and I could probably make content for about 2 months just off those. So thank you for giving me a lot of wake up calls, I think, for my own self, stuff and a lot of stuff I already knew, but you've rewoken in me, shall we say.
Nice.
Which I found really beneficial to myself, and hopefully the listeners have as well. So you heard the guy. Go over, give him a follow. Are you on social media, Alan? So people can go, and then obviously go and check out the university as well. And more importantly, start working on your habits, start tracking the habits, and learning how to gamify all areas of your life. That's certainly what I've taken from this episode, Alan, anyway. And let me know in the comments on this video, guys, if you've got anything further that you want to ask. I can relay them onto Alan. If not, go over to his social media, ChatGPT's name, as he said before, and go and reach out. If it's not for you,
Instagram's the best place. Yep.
Yeah, same. And I agreed with you as well when being humble enough to know that you don't just take anyone's money. If they're not going to work with you, if they don't like you,
win-win.
And I think it works for coaches as well. We've all had that client that we're like,
yeah, I'm done with that. I did that in the early days, man. That's over. Yeah. Not all clients are created equal, man. Oh my goodness.
But now I'm in a position, and I'm sure you're the same, where you can go, look, not to be rude, but I'm not the right person for you. And I think hopefully people listening to this will think, yeah, I'm not, or yeah, I am. I'm going to go check out Alan's stuff.
100%.
Okay, thank you very much, Alan, for coming on. I hope I'll definitely be checking out your stuff myself, and I look forward to speaking to you again sometime.
You as well. Reach out anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you.